There are prisons you can see, and there are prisons you cannot. The Shawshank Redemption is not only about walls, bars, and sentences. It is about something deeper, the prison of hopelessness, the prison of believing that nothing will ever change. Andy Dufresne did not just walk into a physical prison. He walked into a system designed to break men slowly, a place where routine replaces identity, where time stretches endlessly, where hope feels dangerous. Because hope inside a prison can hurt. Red tells us early in the story that hope is a dangerous thing. He believes it can drive a man insane. After years behind bars, he has adapted to limitation. He has learned to survive by lowering expectation. But Andy is different. Andy does not fight loudly. He does not rebel aggressively. He does not beg. He stays quiet. And in that quiet, he builds something invisible. Hope. Not loud hope, not dramatic hope, but patient, structured hope, the kind that works silently in the background. He spends years digging through a wall with a small rock hammer. Years, not days, not months, years of tiny, consistent effort that no one notices. That is the lesson. Real freedom is built long before it is visible. While others accept their environment as permanent, Andy refuses to let his environment define his future. He does not deny reality. He lives in it, but he does not let it shrink his imagination. That balance is rare. He improves the prison library. He helps other inmates earn education. He plays music over the loudspeakers, giving men a moment of beauty in a place designed for despair. Why? Because freedom begins in the mind. You can lock a body in a cell. You cannot lock a disciplined mind. Andy understands something most people forget. Circumstances are powerful, but mindset is stronger over time. If you protect your inner world, you preserve your direction. Red represents the other side. Institutionalized, adapted, conditioned to believe that life outside is no longer possible. He fears freedom because prison has become familiar. That is another prison, comfort inside limitation. The Shawshank Redemption asks a question most people avoid. Have you accepted walls that are not truly permanent? How many people live inside mental prisons? Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of starting over, fear of believing again. Andy never stops believing. Not because he is naive, but because he is disciplined. He plans quietly. He acts consistently. He waits patiently. For nearly 2 decades. That patience is powerful. He does not rush escape. He prepares for it. He understands that freedom without preparation leads back to captivity. So he builds the skills, the connections, the strategy. When the final moment arrives, when he crawls through that tunnel and stands in the rain, it is not just physical escape. It is the reward of persistence, the reward of hope maintained over years, the reward of refusing to become what your environment expects. That scene resonates because everyone understands the feeling of being trapped, maybe not in a prison cell, but in a job, a routine, a mindset, a fear. And the message is clear. Get busy living, or get busy dying. Those words are not about drama, they are about choice. Every day, you either move slowly toward freedom, or you settle deeper into comfort. Every day, you either protect hope, or you surrender it. Andy chose to protect it. And in doing so, he proved something powerful. Time does not defeat the disciplined. Hopelessness does not defeat the persistent. Walls do not defeat the patient. Because freedom is not an event. It is built quietly, brick by brick, thought by thought, decision by decision. Until one day, the wall breaks. And when it does not break loudly for the world to see. It breaks privately first, in the mind, in the belief that escape is possible. Long before the stone falls away, the decision has already been made internally. That is the part most people miss. Freedom is not created in a single dramatic moment. It is created in thousands of quiet ones, in the nights when no one is watching, in the days when progress feels invisible, in the small, almost insignificant actions repeated with intention. Andy did not wake up one morning and suddenly become free. He became free the moment he refused to let his circumstances rewrite his identity. The prison controlled his body, but it never fully controlled his mind. That is where real walls exist. Not in concrete, in belief. Once you believe something is permanent, it becomes permanent. Once you believe nothing can change, nothing changes. But if you protect even a small piece of hope, that hope becomes a tool. Hope, when disciplined, becomes strategy. And strategy, when repeated long enough, becomes breakthrough. Years passed, routine continued, the same walls, the same guards, the same gray sky. To everyone else, nothing was changing, but beneath the surface, something was always moving. That is how transformation works. From the outside, it looks static. From the inside, it is active. Many people give up because they do not see visible results quickly. They assume effort without applause is wasted effort. But Andy understood that the absence of recognition does not mean the absence of progress. He did not need validation. He needed patience. Patience is misunderstood. It is not passive waiting. It is active preparation. It is knowing that time is not your enemy when you are using it wisely. Time becomes an ally when you are consistent. Every scrape of that rock hammer was small, insignificant, almost meaningless on its own, but repetition turns small action into unstoppable force. That is the message hidden beneath the story. You do not need massive strength to break walls. You need consistent pressure, consistent belief, consistent effort. Over time, pressure creates cracks. Cracks create weakness. Weakness creates opening, and opening creates freedom. Red, on the other hand, represents what happens when hope is surrendered. Years of disappointment made him cautious. Years of confinement made him fearful of change. He became comfortable in limitation. Comfort can be a prison too. Not because it is painful, but because it is predictable. Freedom is unpredictable. It requires courage to step into the unknown. It requires belief that life outside your current condition is possible. Andy never stopped imagining the ocean, the sand, the sun. That image sustained him. It gave direction to his effort. Direction gives meaning to struggle. Without direction, suffering feels pointless. With direction, it feels purposeful. And that purpose is what keeps you digging. When the wall finally breaks and he stands in the rain, arms open to the sky, it is not just relief, it is confirmation. Confirmation that patience works. Confirmation that hope is not dangerous when it is disciplined. Confirmation that time cannot defeat someone who refuses to quit quietly. That moment speaks to anyone who has ever felt trapped. Trapped in a job that drains them. Trapped in fear that limits them. Trapped in a version of themselves they no longer want to be. The wall may look solid, but walls are built from pieces. And pieces can be removed, one by one. Not in anger, not in panic, but in quiet determination. The Shawshank Redemption teaches that your current environment does not define your final destination. It teaches that internal freedom must come before external freedom. It teaches that hope, when protected carefully, becomes the most powerful weapon you have. Until one day, the wall breaks, and you step into a life that once felt impossible. Not because luck changed, but because you did not stop digging. That is the quiet difference between those who remain trapped and those who eventually walk free. It is rarely intelligence. It is rarely talent. It is almost always persistence. Digging is not glamorous. It is repetitive. It is slow. It is often invisible. And that is why most people stop. They want signs that progress is happening. They want reassurance that effort is working. They want confirmation that the wall is thinning. But real progress often gives no feedback in the beginning. You dig anyway. Andy did not know exactly when the wall would give way. He only knew that every small scrape brought him closer. That belief sustained him. Not certainty of timing, but certainty of direction. Direction keeps you moving when results are unclear. Most people abandon their goals not because they cannot achieve them, but because they grow tired of uncertainty. Uncertainty feels like standing in darkness without knowing if there is a door ahead. But digging creates your own door. That is the power of consistent action. It shifts you from waiting for change to building change. And building change requires discipline. Discipline means showing up even when the outcome feels distant. It means respecting the process even when the reward is invisible. It means protecting hope without letting it become fantasy. Fantasy waits. Hope works. Andy's hope worked. It was structured, measured, hidden, protected. He did not announce it to the world. He nurtured it quietly. That quiet is important. When you broadcast your dreams too loudly without preparation, doubt from others can weaken you. When you protect your plans and act steadily, you build strength internally. Internal strength becomes resilience. Resilience means that even if one plan fails, you do not collapse. You adjust. You continue. You refine. Digging is refining. Each day you show up and take even a small step toward your goal. You are refining your escape from limitation. Whether that limitation is financial, emotional, mental, or physical, the principle remains the same. Walls do not disappear on their own. They erode under pressure. Pressure applied consistently becomes unstoppable. Over time, something else happens. The act of digging changes you. You become more patient, more focused, less distracted by temporary discomfort. You begin to understand that freedom is not a sudden event. It is the result of thousands of small decisions aligned in one direction. And when you understand that, fear loses power. Fear thrives on the idea that change is impossible, but when you see evidence of your own progress, even small progress, fear weakens. Andy's freedom did not start in the tunnel. It started in his refusal to accept permanence. He accepted reality, but not limitation. There is a difference. Acceptance of reality allows you to plan. Acceptance of limitation makes you surrender. He chose to plan. Planning created structure. Structure created consistency. Consistency created inevitability. And inevitability made the wall fragile long before it broke. When he finally stepped out into the rain, it was not luck. It was the natural outcome of long-term discipline. That moment was earned. Earned through nights of doubt. Earned through years of patience. Earned through the decision not to quit quietly. That is the deeper message. If you feel trapped right now, understand this: the wall may be thick, but it is not eternal. The timeline may be long, but it is not endless. The effort may feel small, but it is not meaningless. Keep digging. Not desperately, not angrily, but steadily. Because the day the wall breaks will not feel accidental. It will feel deserved. And when it does, you will not only be free from the wall, you will be stronger because of it. Stronger not just in skill, but in spirit. Stronger not because life became easier, but because you became deeper. The wall did not just test your patience, it tested your identity. And identity forged under pressure becomes unshakable. When you spend years digging towards something no one else can see, you build an inner certainty that does not depend on applause. You stop needing validation. You stop explaining your vision. You stop asking for permission to believe. You simply continue. That continuation reshapes you. The fear that once felt overwhelming begins to feel manageable. The doubt that once echoed loudly becomes background noise. The environment that once intimidated you loses its control. Because you have already proven something to yourself. You can endure. Endurance changes how you see obstacles. They no longer look permanent. They look temporary. They look like walls waiting to be worn down. And once you understand that walls can be worn down, you stop fearing them. This is why the journey matters more than the escape. The escape is a moment. The journey is transformation. Andy did not just escape a prison. He escaped the mental prison that breaks most men long before their sentence ends. He refused to let time turn him bitter. He refused to let routine erase his vision. That refusal is power. Many people lose not because they are weak, but because they grow tired. They allow exhaustion to rewrite their belief. They allow delay to redefine their identity. But if you protect your belief carefully, if you guard it from negativity and nurture it with action, something extraordinary happens. You outlast the wall. Time, which once felt like your enemy, becomes your ally. Each passing day becomes another step closer. Each challenge becomes another test you survive. Survival builds confidence. Confidence builds courage. Courage builds momentum. Momentum builds breakthrough. And breakthrough changes everything. But here is the deeper truth: even after the wall breaks, life will present new ones, different shapes, different sizes, different challenges. The lesson is not that walls disappear forever. The lesson is that you now know how to face them. You know that steady effort works. You know that patience compounds. You know that identity is stronger than environment. That knowledge is freedom. True freedom is not just walking into open space. It is knowing that no matter what cage life tries to build around you, you have the discipline to dig again. That is power. The Shawshank Redemption resonates because it reminds us that freedom is earned quietly. That hope must be protected carefully. That persistence beats despair over time. And most importantly, it reminds us that you are never as trapped as you feel. Not if you keep digging. Not if you keep believing. Not if you refuse to let your circumstances define your future. Because the strongest people are not those who avoid walls. They are the ones who outlast them. And when you outlast your walls, you do not just escape. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but gradually, in ways that only you can truly feel. Evolution is not loud. It does not announce itself. It happens in the quiet decisions you make when no one is watching. It happens when you choose discipline over despair, patience over panic, belief over bitterness. The wall did not just test your strength. It trained it. Every obstacle forced you to think differently. Every delay forced you to grow deeper. Every setback forced you to adjust. And in adjusting, you became more aware, more resilient, more capable. That is evolution. You are no longer the person who once stared at the wall feeling powerless. You are the person who understands that even the strongest barriers weaken under consistent pressure. You have proof now. Proof that you can survive discomfort. Proof that you can stay focused without applause. Proof that time does not defeat you when you use it wisely. That proof changes how you walk through life. You stop fearing difficulty the way you once did. You stop shrinking in the face of resistance. You stop assuming that hard means impossible. Because you have lived through hard. And you came out stronger. Evolution also changes your perspective. You begin to see that the wall was never just an obstacle. It was a teacher. It revealed your patience. It exposed your weaknesses. It forced you to confront your fears. Without the wall, you would not have discovered your capacity. Without the struggle, you would not have built endurance. Without the darkness, you would not appreciate light. Andy did not simply escape into freedom. He earned clarity. Clarity about who he was. Clarity about what he valued. Clarity about the power of persistence. Clarity is powerful. It removes confusion. It removes hesitation. It sharpens direction. And when direction is sharp, movement becomes efficient. Efficient movement builds momentum. Momentum builds confidence. Confidence builds leadership, first over yourself, then over your environment. That is the final transformation. You stop reacting to life. You start directing it, not controlling everything, but choosing your response, choosing your pace, choosing your belief. And that choice is what separates survival from evolution. Many survive walls. Few evolve because of them. Evolution requires reflection. It requires asking, what did this season build in me? Instead of why did this happen to me? When you ask the first question, you grow. When you grow, you become capable of more. Capable of greater responsibility. Capable of greater opportunity. Capable of greater freedom. Freedom not just from walls, but from fear. Fear loses its grip when you understand your own strength. And strength built slowly, patiently, consistently is almost impossible to break. That is why this story stays with people. Because it is not about prison. It is about transformation. It is about understanding that no matter how confined you feel right now, there is always something within your control. Your effort, your belief, your consistency. If you protect those three, no wall lasts forever. You evolve. And once you evolve, the same walls that once intimidated you become reminders of how far you have come. Not scars, not chains, but proof. Proof that you were strong enough to dig, patient enough to wait, disciplined enough to continue, and brave enough to believe that freedom was worth the effort. Because belief is not easy when evidence is missing. It takes courage to hold onto a vision that no one else can see. It takes strength to keep working towards something that feels far away. And it takes maturity to understand that the journey is shaping you long before the destination appears. Freedom is rarely convenient. It demands discomfort. It demands patience. It demands faith in progress that feels invisible. But the ones who experience real freedom are the ones who decide that temporary struggle is a price worth paying for long-term peace. Andy could have adapted fully to prison life. He could have lowered his expectations, blended into routine, and survived quietly like so many others. That would have been easier in the short term. But easier is not always better. Easier often keeps you small. Freedom requires you to carry tension without collapsing, to hold a dream without rushing it, to accept where you are without surrendering where you are going. That balance is rare. When you are brave enough to believe in freedom, you stop negotiating with limitation. You may not escape immediately. You may not see progress instantly, but internally, you stop accepting the idea that this is all there is. That shift is powerful. It separates survival from intention. Survival says, this is my reality. Intention says, this is my current situation. One accepts permanence. The other plans change. Belief fuels planning. Planning fuels action. Action fuels progress. And progress, no matter how small, fuels more belief. This cycle builds quietly until one day it becomes visible. And when it becomes visible, others call it luck. They call it timing. They call it miracle. But you know better. You know it was built in the unseen hours, in the discipline that felt repetitive, in the hope that felt fragile, in the courage that felt lonely. That is what makes freedom meaningful. It is not just the absence of walls. It is the presence of strength. Strength built through patience. Strength reinforced through consistency. Strength earned through refusal to quit. And once you have built that kind of strength, you carry it everywhere, into new challenges, into new opportunities, into new seasons of life. You no longer fear starting over, because you know how to build again. You no longer fear obstacles, because you know how to dig. You no longer fear delay, because you understand preparation. That is evolution completed. Not perfection, not immunity from struggle, but confidence in your ability to endure and adapt. The Shawshank Redemption leaves us with more than a cinematic ending. It leaves us with a reminder that no matter how long the tunnel, no matter how thick the wall, no matter how quiet the progress, consistent effort reshapes reality. And if you are in your own Shawshank right now, your own season of waiting, working, enduring, remember this. The wall may look permanent, but permanence is an illusion when you refuse to stop digging. Keep believing. Keep preparing. Keep applying steady pressure. Because one day, the wall will break. And when it does, you will not just step into freedom. You will step into the person you became while earning it.